full circle though. So I was singing when she was in my belly, and then and then it's just wow.
Let me out. Let's try it.
I love with the heart of God within me. I sing with the voice of God within me. I rest in the power of God within me. Everything praises God within me. I know with the might of God within me. I pray in the faith of God within me. I trust in the power of God within me. Everything praises God within me. I am a safe and loving place, full of beauty and amazing grace. With the joy of God within me, I shine with the light of God within me. I am who I am 'cause of God within me. Everything praises God. Everything praises God. Everything praises God within me. See what lyrics Spirit wants me to say today. Yes. Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
I feel good about that. I think when we're in it, we'll be a little more focused up.
The odds of that happening ever again are none. Oh my gosh, today is a day.
Man, you got time to get beauty.
Yeah, I actually probably really need that.
I'll go with you. Bean juice to go. Bean juice, bro. Bean juice.
I'm wearing the appropriate shirt today. I wore my Snoopy Christmas shirt.
This season.
Tis the season.
It's never too early to celebrate.
Bro, I'm gonna tell all my opponents that today.
Bro, Christmas is like less
Good
than
luck,
a year
tis the
away.
season.
So like,
Yes.
working out to stroke.
Good morning. Welcome to Unity Richmond. My name is Heather. I'm your service leader for today. Reverend Valerie is off doing what she's doing, having a great time, self-care. And we have a special guest today, Miss Reverend Cheryl. You'll learn more about her shortly. But I would like to welcome everybody here. Is anybody here for the first time? We're all returning family members. All right, cool. Well, and also those who are joining us online, thank you for being a consistent member of our community as well. We love you and we miss you, and please get here in person as soon as you are able to do so. Let us say our affirmation for today together. It's a really great affirmation. Promise you, it's going to be amazing. Okay, here we go. Together. Unity of Richmond is abundantly blessed. Creative people are drawn to us. Divine ideas flow through us. financial resources bless us, and with God as our source, we accomplish mighty works together. Wonderful. Today's daily word, divine order. Whew, this one particularly speaks to me. I feel like I'm being called out by the universe with this. Okay. During times of uncertainty, I trust divine order. Raise your hand if you're going through a moment like that. All right. How often have I felt disappointed when something did not work out as I had planned or hoped, only to discover a blessing I had not anticipated? Understanding that a seeming obstacle may actually be an unrecognized opportunity, I resist the temptation to wonder why the setback is happening. Instead, I pray, asking what is mine to do. I may receive guidance to wait for a better time to pursue my plan, or perhaps an insight will arise out of what appeared to be failure, showing me a way forward that will accomplish even greater good. Affirming divine order keeps me patient and trusting in right outcomes in all situations. Let's say that again for my own benefit. Affirming divine order keeps me patient and trusting in right outcomes in all situations. From 1 Corinthians 13:12, for now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part, then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. So together, let's say this affirmation 3 times. Together. During times of uncertainty, I trust divine order. During times of uncertainty, I trust divine order. During times of uncertainty, I trust divine order. Today's message is, do you hear what I hear? So we decided we would be just a little silly and have a little bit of Christmas in July. Please stand and join us. Spirit is fun, y'all. Let's play. Little silliness for today. Thank you. All right. Now we do the opening prayer. We go from silly to praying. It's who we are, right? I'm switching mics. Hold on. Okay. So let's take a deep breath. Knowing that this very breath that we share is the very breath of God, of source of love and light. We dedicate this time to embracing the truth of who we are, for being reminded of who we are and releasing all that we are not. So we inhale, exhale, and we just claim this moment as good and beautiful and perfect. And everything truly is in divine order. And so it is. Amen. All right, so the Metro Richmond prayer, let's say it together. We pray for the governments and governing bodies of metropolitan Richmond, the boards, supervisors, councils, administrators, and government employees of Charles City, Goochland, New Kent, Powhatan, Ashland, Petersburg, and Hopewell. All right. Now, opportunities. Demystifying Eastern Religions. I believe this is the second part in a 4-part series. You can join next Sunday, the 21st. John Paul, says Roaches, on the second, okay, the Universal Truth. This time he'll be talking about demystifying Eastern religions. So please join us. I didn't make the first. Where was I? Okay, so Sunday, July 21st at 11 a.m. So this time, next Sunday. Be here. I'll be here. That's going to be exciting. All right, next up. Bon voyage. Our delightful sojourner is here in the house. Mr. Eric will be leaving us to greater shores, but we are going to celebrate his journey, his exciting move to Panama. So bring your favorite dish, heartfelt wishes, Sunday, August 4th at 12:30. And you can always join them on Facebook to stay in touch. All right, the gala dinner. Miss Carol, would you please stand? She has a beautiful home on the lake. You don't want to miss it. One of the best gala dinners I've heard. Take a look at the menu. There's so much happening at her house. It's going to be awesome. And so it is. These gala dinners, of course, are a fundraiser for our beloved Unity. So it is $45 and only 14 people can attend. So please, please, please sign up. You don't want to miss out. There's so much to do. Next up, World Day of Prayer Circle. So what's happening here is that the World Day of Prayer is in September. So we're going to be sending out information on how to participate in Unity's online services. I believe out of Unity Village, they have some online services that you can join in. And we're also going to, you can join us for recognition of it Sunday, September 8th after the service. So we're not going to have a special service dedicated to it, but we are going to separate some time for that as a community. And last but not least, monthly garden days coming up this Wednesday, 9:30 to 11:30. I'm told you don't have to have any experience, just a love of beauty. So help us maintain these beautiful grounds. If you really enjoy, picking up, pulling weeds, think about that really awesome person or thing that you just want to get rid of and, channel that rage and aggression, like you're welcome to do so. Got to transform that into positive. I'm just saying we're human, right? All right, so you all know what I mean. This Wednesday, 9:30 to 11:30, please come and join us as we keep our community and these grounds beautiful. All right. Oh, I'm next. Okay, so 1 second as I switch mics. Here I am. And we have a couple songs today from a Unity artist. Her name is Denise Rozier. Raise your hand if you've heard of her. Yeah, she's pretty great. She's out in Colorado, but she is just such a beautiful soul. Check more of her music out if you haven't done so. She's quite prolific. But this song is called Joy in My Day, and it's really just a praise song about reminding us of who we are. So without further ado. Love in the words I say, peace in the world I make, Lord, in every breath I take, joy in my day, joy in my day. like to take the opportunity now to invite up Rob Rust, share a few thoughts on why he supports Unity. He's also helping out today in the back. Per his usual. All right, there you go.
Hello, everybody here and online. So I'm Rob Rust, and the first thing you need to know about me is I've been around here a very long time, very. I've been coming since 1980, which is, I'm looking at some of the faces here. I'm sure that's before you were born. So suffice it to say, up. Is that better? Speak to the mic, Rob. Ta-da, ta-da, yay. And so what do you need to know about the fact that I've been around forever and a day? The main thing is that this place felt like home to me almost immediately. It maybe took a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, I don't remember, it's a long time ago. But, it quickly became someplace I felt that connection with, and I know many of you have talked about that same sort of thing. So I got the idea of serving primarily through my dad. My dad was always, even though he was really busy in his work, he always found time to serve at church. And what that was for me was a pattern of why it was important to serve. It's important to get out there and serve and show your support for some place that you believe in. And then fast forward a couple more years. I'm not going to take you through my whole history, I promise. So in 1985, my wife and I were actually married in this church. This church was not here then. We were up on Laburnum Avenue, just off of Seminary. But another long time event church. And what that meant for me was that I had an emotional connection to this place. So that's another kind of hook that it had in me, is like, I definitely had an emotional connection to it. And then the last thing, I told you I wasn't going to tell you my whole history. I have served as treasurer, and I currently serve on the finance committee. And the reason that's important is because I know that my contributions make a difference. And you can serve in a lot of different ways. But for me, that was an easy and quick way to see that I could make a difference here, which is another hook in me, if you will. So those are the kind of the four things that have motivated me to support Unity over the years. And it's been something that's been really important, central to my life, really. And so I give thanks for that every day.
Rob is definitely the epitome of service around here. No, truly, like, his financial prowess is insane. He's one of our pillars, and he was one, like, during the panorama times, keeping us afloat, truly, with his wisdom. We all have that. We all have something, even if you think it's so silly. That's your God stuff, man. Bring it. We can handle it. Bring it. What you got? What you got for us? All right, so I am going to introduce our guest speaker today, Miss Reverend Cheryl Fair. As you can probably guess, she's a Unity minister, certified Enneagram coach, and a Master of Fine Arts in theater. She has a passion for Unity principles and shares openly how using practical truth teachings have guided her through exceptional life challenges. She's currently the minister for Unity Fredericksburg and serves as the president of the board of Unity's Eastern Region. She enjoyed a 35-year career in performing arts as an actor, stage manager, producer, playwright, singer, songwriter, before shifting her focus to Unity in 2017. Again, you bring your skills with you and your passion. So please join me in welcoming Miss Reverend Cheryl Fair.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I always love the moment where I turn around and get to see all the faces that have come in while I was sitting up front. And I'm going to try to talk while I arrange all my things up here. So one thing that I always mention when I'm here is that my journey with Unity began in this room in the mid-1990s. And just, Rob was up here sharing some history, so I'll share some history too. The mid-1990s, and at that time, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the music director over at Unity of Bon Air, Claudia Carawan. She was here too at that point, and I knew her because I had a school-age daughter and a son that was in the nursery. I knew Claudia as the nice nursery lady downstairs. So that's how I got to know Claudia. So I was here for a few years, and then I shifted over to Unity of Bon Air because that was closer to where I was living. And I was around Unity of Bon Air for more than 20 years in a variety of capacities, doing lots of readers' theater, and I led the youth ministry there for a few years, which is where I got to meet Rob for the first time, because he was working with the youth here, and so that's when I first met him, and eventually became a licensed Unity teacher, and then became a minister. And so I'm the minister at Unity of Fredericksburg right now, but I live here in Richmond. I still live here in Richmond. I live in Church Hill. And I'm happy to be here with you all and supporting Valerie while she is having some really well-deserved time off. So anyway, that's all my good morning, good morning. I want to start off by seeing how playful you all are feeling this morning. Would you be up for like playing a game with me, doing a little call and response? Would you be up for that? Okay. So let's see how awake you are. Let's see, so if I said, Old MacDonald had a farm. Oh, you guys are quick. You're good. Let's do it. Let's do something else. All right, let's say, how about if I did this? Let's see how good you are with rhythm and how good I am with rhythm. Oh, you're sharp, right? These are things that we just kind of know, right? Let's shift to another arena. How about numbers, right? So if I go 2, 4, 6, 8, what's next? Genius, right? Let's do a little visual stuff. So I don't know if you can see this, all right? So you see this, right? And then next, you see this. So does your brain already know where we're going? So do you have an image of where we're going? Right? Because here's where we're going, right? So these are all patterns, right? These are patterns, and our brains really like patterns, don't they? So my title today, which I was tickled that the music team took a little spin off on my title today, is Do You See What I See? Because we don't all necessarily see the same thing, right? We each kind of have our own patterns of how we perceive what's going on, how we interpret things. So I might see one thing in one situation, and it could just be by where we're sitting, right? I'm sitting here, I see this, someone in the back sees something different, and we have a totally different interpretation. So that's why I chose that title, and then the music team spun off of, which gave me, I was like, a little story came to mind that has nothing to do with my message, but I'll just share it anyway. So I can remember years ago, I was over at Unity of Bon Air. It's one of those moments where you get the giggles at an inappropriate time. Not really inappropriate like a funeral, but I've been in that moment too, where it's like you can't stop laughing about something. But this was a very earnest Christmas Eve service, and one of the parishioners who was singing with great heart and whatever, and she's up there and she's singing, "Do you see what I hear?" And I'm sitting, and they just begin, not "Do you see what I see?" or do you see what I hear? And we could not stop laughing. And even to this day, if I say, "Hey, do you want to go to Christmas Eve service?" they start giggling about, like, "Oh, are they going to be singing, 'Do you see what I hear?'" Anyway, so that's kind of an example of when something shows up that's out of a pattern, right? There's a pattern. Do you see what I see? And then you have somebody going, "Do you see what I hear?" And it's like, your brain's like, what? So it's all about patterns. And I like to look things up. So, and these days, when you look things up on the internet, I suppose what is answering is some form of AI. So here's what the first result I got. A pattern is a regularity in the world, in human-made design or in abstract ideas. So we know that. We know what that is. It also followed up with types of patterns found everywhere, include symmetry. Now, these are all things that we can resonate with. Branching, spirals, cracks, spots, stripes, chaos, flows, meanders, waves, bubbles, arrays, crystals. These are all patterns that we recognize and resonate with at different times, right? Are there certainly times when you are experiencing chaos and it's just, it's like, you recognize it, you resonate with it. It's like, I've been there before. And your brain, of course, is interpreting, I've been there before, and that's what this means. And you're making meaning from the patterns that you're perceiving, right? So our human brains are wired to detect patterns and to make meaning from those patterns. And in addition to that, our brains tend to organize things and collect things into groups. So you might have a collection of something at home, little items that you collect, and there's some joy that you receive from that. Your brain actually experiences joy by going, these are all purple, and I'm going to put that here, and these are all, tall and pointy, and I'm going to put them together. One of the books that I'm reading with a friend, I have a friend that we get together and read books together, is this book called Joyful. So I was also tickled that there was a song from the music team today about joy in my day. This is by a woman named Ingrid Fattel Lee, and she dives into so many different aspects of how we experience joy. And she has a section here that's about this tendency of our brains to collect things and feel joyful about it. So I'm going to read that for you. And I was going to bring some reading glasses up here, but I didn't, so I'm going to fake it real good. According to neuroscientist V.S. Ramachandran, were you impressed that I said that? The pleasurable aha sensation we feel when we see related objects as a group suggests that the brain's processes for identifying objects may be intrinsically connected to the reward mechanisms in the limbic system. In other words, joy is the brain's natural reward for staying alert to correlations and connections in our surroundings. So this principle helps explain why collections feel so joyful. Anyone have a collection of things at home that they treasure? Little things, little seashells, little bottle caps, whatever, yeah? There it is. There are scientists saying, your brain, this creates joy. And so identifying patterns helps us navigate our lives, right? This is something that our brain does to help us navigate things. So when we walk into a new experience, our brain is scanning for patterns. It could be patterns of people I know or things that feel familiar, and this helps me navigate that, right? Navigate a new situation. Also, our brain's affection for patterns can help us kind of evaluate how we're doing, right? Oh, I keep trying this, it's not going well, there's a pattern there, so then I can work on that, right? Or things are going well, so our brain is working with those patterns all the time. And also, because we're so wonderfully intelligent, are able to identify layers of patterns, right? So, for example, I like the example of snowflakes, and not in the way that that word has been charged in the political arena, but literally snowflakes, where they tell us, scientists tell us, that every single snowflake is individual and different, and none is replicated. And yet we understand that pattern of snowflake, and we're also able to understand uniqueness within that. It's kind of like people, right? We understand humans, and yet we know that each one of us is unique, right? So our ability to discern patterns also helps us connect the dots to tell us when something important is going on. I have a friend right now who is experiencing a medical situation, a concern. But it has taken a while for her to get a medical professional to recognize this, because she's having symptoms, things aren't feeling right. She shows up to get checked out. They do a study over here. They say, well, there's this one little thing that's off, but otherwise, just get some rest. You have too much stress. She has another episode. She shows up, she's in the hospital overnight, they're doing a test. Again, they're like, oh, well, it's just this little thing over here, but it's not a problem. She has a more, specific, more invasive test. And the doctor who's doing that is, oh, well, everything looks fine except for this one little thing, and you just need to rest more, you need to have better nutrition. Basically, her concerns are being minimized, because what she knows is that every single thing has something off. Across the board, every single thing that every time she gets checked out, and these professionals are just looking at the one thing. They don't see the pattern, but she sees the pattern. And she continues to advocate for herself, and I think she has finally, gotten a physician that sees the pattern and is working with her to find out what's going on underneath. But, patterns are important, but we don't always see them, right? Depending on what seat you're sitting in, you might just see the one little thing and not the whole pattern. So we have to be aware of that, right? And these are all things that we do from our human nature, right? In our human brains, in our human bodies, things we're talking about are all that, but we know also that there are patterns on a profound level, on a deeper level, on a more meaningful level, on a spiritual level, right? And that's what we're here to talk about on Sunday mornings, is that spiritual level. And in Unity, we talk about ourselves as being spiritual beings having a human experience, right? Yeah, so we are 100% human all the time, right? Because we're in these bodies, we're having this experience in these bodies. And yet our spiritual teachings tell us that we are also 100% divine all the time. So we sense patterns on a deeper, more profound, there's all kinds of deeper and more profound, however it is that you experience it. We experience pattern on the profound level of spirit. And most often in our human lives, we can connect to that through nature. So when you stand, on the beach at the edge of the shore, and you feel that rhythm of the ocean, and you feel like you're a part of it, it feels like the rhythm of your breath. It feels like the rhythm of your heart, and you resonate with it. Or if you have the wonder of being outdoors where it's truly dark and you can see, the stars. And again, you might you'll feel awe. You might feel really small, or you might feel really connected. but that's an area where you're sensing that level of divine pattern that is out there, that is in us. So I've got a good quote here from Ernest Holmes. You belong to the universe in which you live. You are one with the creative genius back of this life. You are as much a part of it as the sun, the earth, and the air. There is a pattern of yourself in the origins of the universe, and the same pattern of perfection that is at the center of your own being. So there we are talking about divine patterns, the pattern of the universe that is expressing itself through the ocean, through beautiful plants that you see, through other aspects of nature, and also within you. Unity founder Myrtle Fillmore frequently taught about healing, and she frequently referenced a particular spiritual pattern. So here's a quote from Myrtle Fillmore, from Myrtle Fillmore's Healing Letters. The way to healing is, first of all, to re-educate the mind and to establish the truth in all the faculties. Then, to see the reality of the body and its functions and to stamp every part with the perfect pattern, which is God-given and known as the Christ pattern. The Christ pattern. So when we talk about the Christ pattern, we're not talking about a man named Jesus who lived a long time ago who they, attached that word Christ to. We're talking about the divine pattern that is expressing through each and every one of us. So in Unity, we talk about the Christ consciousness, which each and every one of us expresses. Here's another, here's a definition or something along these lines from classic Unity metaphysics. Christ, also known as I am, is the seed idea or divine pattern of God which is implanted in every human and contains all the elements of the God nature. Jesus represents the understanding use of this pattern. So this Christ pattern, divine pattern, is in every one of us. And as we will say when we talk about the heritage of unity, that unity is based on the teachings of Jesus because he had a full spiritual understanding of how to work with that divine pattern and show up as the Christ. And so we will often call Jesus our way shower because he shows us the way to lean into that pattern and to be the Christ consciousness. All right. So as we observe the world and recognize the pattern of God expressing through so many dimensions, we recognize this divine pattern as a part of our being. Here's another quote from Ernest Holmes. Everything is one unified whole. At the center of it all is pure and intelligent energy that layers itself as patterns into infinity. The more perfectly we pattern the divine, the more completely we manifest perfection. So that's something we can work on all the time, right? So from our divine nature, where we are 100% divine all the time, we recognize divine patterns. We're also human 100% of the time, and we recognize human patterns, right? So have you ever noticed patterns in people, right? You show up in a new group, and your brain is very quickly sorting, oh, there's a cheerleader type there. There's a warm and loving type there, because you've seen these types of people before, because people express and show up in patterns, right? Just like flowers show up with petals, and it might be different depending on what kind of flower it is. Trees show up with leaves. People show up with patterns too, personality patterns. We have physical patterns, so in general, we show up in a symmetrical presentation with, an arm to either side, a leg to either side of the head, at the top, the feet at the bottom. That's the general presentation. We know that things can happen to change that. I myself am like missing a part, so I'm not fully symmetrical anymore. Some of you may also have that, but that's kind of the pattern, physical pattern. And there are personality patterns. And we recognize those in our lives, in our families, in our workplace. In some writings, they're referred to as archetypes. So here's a quote from Caroline Meese in Sacred Contracts. This one's a little bit longer, so I'm just gonna hold it up here. Archetypes are the architects of our lives. They are the energy companions through whom we can learn to understand ourselves. These psychological, emotional patterns, how we live and whom we love, can lead us to profound understanding of our purpose. Their energy can connect us to our greater mission on the planet. There are no insignificant relationships. Every experience that we have contains purpose and meaning. Each event, each person in our lives embodies an energetic fragment of our own psyche and soul. Our individual spiritual task is to recognize and integrate all of them into our awareness so that the greater pattern of our mission can shine forth in its full dimensions. So it's important for us to notice our own personality patterns. Would you agree? And if we would like to relationship with others, in casual or not so casual ways, it is important for us to be able to observe the personality patterns in others so that we can be in a compassionate place, right? So when someone else is having a burst of temper, we don't have to jump right in and get in there. We can be in a place of compassion where we understand the current underneath is actually fear. And how can I be present with this person in a more productive and loving way? So understanding people patterns is a really valuable thing. And very often, we kind of go through our days sort of sleepwalking through our busy days, our busy days of just getting things done, kind of like when I was talking about my friend who's like having an incident and kind of there are these isolated things, but if we don't take the time to actually put it together and see the pattern, we don't get to the meaning underneath, we don't get to the opportunity to learn and grow and show up and do better, right? So, our spiritual practice here at Unity reminds us that we have the capacity to work with ourselves. So as soon as we can identify that pattern of like, oh, I have this going on, I have the power and capacity to work with that, to work with it and change it using Unity practices. And there are plenty of other spiritual practices out there. It mostly begins with pausing and paying attention to our patterns. Here's a quote from a CSL minister. His name is Scott Aubrey. He has a website called Spiritual Passages, which is like a database for ministers. So I am a sustaining giver of his ministry because pretty much every week when I'm putting together a Sunday talk, I am in there pulling quotes and stories and things like that. And he puts in actually even entire messages. So this is actually a quote from a talk that Scott Aubrey did called The Power of Patterns. I am suggesting that it can be far more useful to look for patterns of our life, our thinking, than to pay too much attention to an individual experience. Patterns can reveal more to us sometimes than isolated events or responses. So again, that notion of, my friend who's like, if you just look at each individual thing, it's like, oh, whatever, you have stress. But looking at the pattern That is the key to affecting change. So one of my favorite systems and models to use for this process of noticing patterns and finding ways to learn and grow and relationship in better ways is the Enneagram. How many of you are familiar with the Enneagram? So we've got some hands up. So the Enneagram is a system for observing the patterns of human personality, and it reveals patterns that help us work on ourselves, that help us work on relationships, and show how we can show up in better ways. Now, the system itself presents with a diagram that shows up as a circle, right? So a circle, and around the circle there are 9 points which represent kind of these different archetypes or patterns of personality. And again, kind of like snowflakes, each one of those spots, there's a myriad of expressions that kind of are in the, in the general category of this kind of personality. The thing that a lot of people miss about the Enneagram, because some of you may have just kind of dabbled in it a little bit, is when you first show up to the Enneagram, of course, you're looking at, like which personality type is me? And a lot of people stop there. So how does your learning and growing work if you just kind of, stay right here? How does that work? Does that work well for you? No. So the Enneagram has more and more and more to share the more you study, because not only do you kind of need to look at your own patterns, then you need to learn about all these other patterns, and ultimately the focus of it is actually in the center. In the center of this circle is the energy of the universe, is God mind at the center, and the point of all of it is kind of looking at our human patterns and remembering to turn to center and realize that we are all present with that divine pattern. We're just kind of showing up in our particular way, but it's all about coming to center and expressing as God mind, as Christ consciousness, as compassion. And the more we know and understand about how people function, the more rewarding it can be for us. So I first, I learned about the Enneagram over at Unity of Bon Air more than a dozen years ago from a couple named Joanne and Frank Einsman. Some of you might know them. So that was like a dozen years ago. I was learning about it. My husband kind of was like, what is that? He doesn't come to like spiritual things, but he was like, I'm kind of interested in that. So he came, and there was a profound thing that happened. So in our family, we have 2 children, and in particular, my husband had always had just trouble figuring out how to be present with our son. Because when you talk about personality patterns, this was like, oil and water. Oil is wonderful, water is wonderful, but how do they connect and come together? And it has been an amazing ongoing process in my family to have my husband sort of as the parent. Now my son is an adult at this point, but we kind of have our roles in families, right? So the parent is always the parent. So those of you who are parents, the parenting never ends, does it? Doesn't. So to see my husband continue to work with the Enneagram so that he can figure out how to show up with our son, who has such a different way of being. Do any of you all have that in your family where someone you love them, but like just getting through a meal together is just difficult because it's just their way of being is so different from yours. So I've seen that happen in my own family. Probably about half a dozen years ago, I started teaching it, because that's how I continue to learn and grow, is to I'm an auditory processor, so talking and listening. So I started teaching it, and then I started seeing it ripple through people's lives. One person in particular that comes to mind would be kind of a very gentle, go with the flow kind of personality. And what she came to realize was that basically she had sort of been imprinted with a very dominant parent's pattern of this is how you do things. And as she came to the Enneagram, she realized, oh, that's not my pattern. That's my father's pattern. And she started, as a woman in her mid-60s, to learn about herself, because she had never really seen that. She had always seen it through a lens that was provided by a very dominant parent. So I share all of this with you because I will be here at Unity of Richmond teaching an introduction to the Enneagram on 3 Tuesday nights. So that'll start next week. So it'll be July 23rd, 30th, and August the 6th, 6:30 to 8. There are some flyers about that out on the table. So if you want to learn more with me, I invite you to do that. So, and that's part of the reason why Valerie and I had us here, so that I could connect with you all and encourage you to come out and play with the Enneagram. But even if that is not your choice of how to do this kind of work, because there are lots of ways to do this kind of work, right? And I'm sure many of you have done of observing your own patterns, of working, doing your own work, however you do it. The point is that it's essential to our own growth, right? To notice the patterns of our human brains, to work with it, to work to improve the quality of our experience, and to give ourselves the opportunity, it's getting warm up here, sorry, to make that pivot to divine awareness. So I'm going to read one little more story for you as I come to the end of this talk. So this story comes from an author named A. Helwa. This is a woman who comes from the Islamic faith, and this is a story from The Secrets of Divine Love. One day, a man opened his lunch bag at work and complained, "Another cheese sandwich. I'm so sick of these cheese sandwiches." Then again the next day, he opened his lunch and said, "Cheese sandwich again. I'm going to die from these cheese sandwiches." Then the following day, yet again, he opened his bag, lo and behold, said, "Cheese sandwich. I hate cheese sandwiches. Oh, why, God? Why is it always a cheese sandwich?" Finally, one of his coworkers said, "Why don't you tell your wife you don't like cheese sandwiches?" To which the man replied, "I don't have a wife." His coworker confusingly asked, "Well, then who makes these cheese sandwiches?" And the man said, "Well, I do." So how often do we complain about patterns in our lives that we weave with our own hands? So it's also important for us to have a sense of humor about our patterns, right? Oh, there I go again. Look at me doing this same thing again. But as we remind ourselves that we have this divine pattern within us, this Christ pattern that is within us and within everyone else, we can work with our human patterns so that we can love that pattern, honor it, treasure it, encourage it to refine and grow. You, my friends, are an expression of the beautiful design of pure presence and God substance. And I am grateful to witness the divine pattern that you are here today. And I'm grateful for your very kind attention this morning. Thank you, thank you. All right, so we're going to prepare for a time of meditation now, and I'm going to shift gears a little bit because there are things going on in the world. Have you noticed that? but there are things going on in the world. So what we're going to lean into for our time of meditation here today is the pattern of peace and our capacity to show up as the energy of peace, even in the midst of stuff going on. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. So I am using, just so you know, this is a little thing called the Positive Prayer Wheel. This is a gift that Reverend Valerie gave me for my ordination. One of the gifts. She gave me a whole collection of little things. So this is something you can get from unity.org. And there are different topics. So we're going to focus on peace. So take a deep breath, my friends. Settle into your seat. Settle into this moment. True peace is not found in the absence of war, strife, or difficulty. It is a calm and powerful presence always available at the heart of me. Even during seemingly adverse circumstances, I center myself in the beautiful consciousness of peace that I am. In this moment, I consciously quiet my mind and open my heart, accessing the divine peace that is always available. Gently, I shift my focus away from disruptive thoughts. I breathe in peace. I allow peace to grow in my awareness. Peace anchors my day in all I say and do. So just feel that peace, that energy of peace right here, right now, resonating from every cell in your body. Every thought and feeling held in consciousness, center it now in this energy of peace. And as we move into a time of stillness together, we commit ourselves to being this energy, this presence of peace in the world. Let us get quiet together right now. Breathing peace. Peace in all our thoughts. Peace in all our feelings. When we witness turmoil in our own life, we can follow the example of our way shower and claim, peace, be still. I am a radiating center of peace. I am calm and peaceful in the presence of confusion, anger, or distress. Centered in the awareness of my oneness with God mind, my thoughts turn to peace, love, and compassion. My words are kind, and my actions are expansive and constructive. I embody and radiate peace. So it is, so I am, my friends, and so are you.
Thank you so much. My usherettes, please come forward. Let us say this prosperity blessing together. Divine love flows from me as a spirit of generosity. I know that as I give generously, I enter the flow of abundance. Every good possibility comes into view as I swim in the stream of infinite good. I am the harmony of divine love, blessed and overflowing. Yes, indeed. All right. Before I sing, I do want to extend thank yous to everybody for being here, for those who take care of the church throughout the week, keep this place clean, and keep our energy up with caffeine. Thank you, Debbie. And all you do so much. Thank you. Just being you is enough. And we're so glad you're here. Thank you to our crew in the back for all of your help, our dedicated crew, and of course, my lovely musician friends over here. Seriously, like they're up to so much in this town, so many shenanigans. How many shows y'all doing? I mean, it's insane. Like all the time. And so we are so blessed that they choose to forfeit sleep and be with us on Sunday morning. So we thank you. And so, and thank you to our lovely folks who take care of our kiddos. So without further ado, I'll sing a song and then we'll get back to it. Thank you. Okay. I love with the heart of God within me. I sing with the voice of God within me. I rest in the peace of God within me. Everything praises God within me. I know with the mind of God within me. I pray with the faith of God within me. I trust in the power of God within me. Everything praises God within me. I am a safe and loving place, born of beauty and amazing grace. I laugh with the joy of God within me. I shine in the light of God within me. I am who I am 'cause of God within me. Everything praises God. Everything praises God. Everything praises God. All right. So together, we are going to bless these gifts. Together. We give thanks for the gifts that will support our mission of creating a spiritually awakened world. Woo, woo, woo. Before we invite our beautiful babies up, just a friendly reminder, prayer chaplains are available. Should you need to release anything, Stephen's like, boop, boop, right here. Pick me. So you can meet up with Stephen right there. We're so grateful for the service that you do. All right, come on, babies.
1, 2, 3.
We are walking as the light, as the light, as the light. We are walking as the light, as the light of God. As the light, 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 as the light of God. All right, what'd y'all get into today?
We just kept everybody safe while y'all enjoyed service. No, it's great to see all these folks that have joined us. So love having all the young energy. And yeah, keep bringing your grandchildren, your neighbors' kids, your kids, whatever. We're here.
I know Juniper's like, I want to see my friends. I was like, 9:30. And I'm like, your friends will be here soon. So, and yes, friends, exactly. So just know it makes an impact being around our friends and playing and being safe. Thank you for keeping an eye on them, keeping them safe and happy. So we thank you so much for that. All right. Thank you. All right, friends. You know what's next? Our peace song. Hi, babies. You want to sing with me? All right. Oh, yes, prayer protection. Okay, yes. So sorry. Yes. Okay, look, this is what happens. Woo, woo, woo. Yes. Everybody say yes. 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 The babe shall lead us. All right. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
I get it. I get it. Now go ahead and say.